Hey, what's up everybody? It's Christian with Reaper Disc, and today I'm going to give you guys a few tips on how to start adding a little bit more distance to your drives. Now, consider this instead of not so much a max distance clinic. I am definitely not the right person to be talking about maximum distance because my last name is not Wiggins. However, what we will be talking about today is adding just those extra 20-30 feet to the end of your drives. That way you can start hitting those longer par 3s for birdie looks, reaching the longer par 4s in too, or if you're kind of in that stuck in between distance, maybe you can actually start reaching those drivable par 4s to get those really coveted eagle looks. So I'm going to basically talk about two big things to add a little bit of distance to your drive. I'm going to talk about form, and I'm going to talk about disc selection. So as far as form goes, a lot of people typically when they think about throwing further, they just mean throw harder. You know, throw faster, throw just more. That, to an extent, can help add distance, but you're really losing accuracy, and you're actually running a risk for injury. You know, throwing too hard can put undue stress on your joints in your wrist, your elbow, your shoulder. You can rip muscles, you can tear tendons, you can, start experiencing tennis elbow and things like that if you're trying to overdo forehands. All that and more can happen if, you're just really overexerting yourself on throws. It also makes you a lot more tired by the end of the round, meaning that you're not going to be able to play as good on hole 18 as you were on hole 8. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to start working on form. Now, the first big thing to note whenever you are really trying to fine-tune your form is you need a video of it. That way you can diagnose what you're doing wrong. Without doing that, however, there are a few little tips that I can start sharing. That way you can immediately start working on it before you really start overhauling your form. First and foremost is engaging the hips. Now, a lot of players, they like to keep their hips stationary. They're not the most mobile joints that you have in your body, and hip mobility and flexibility is not a very widely had or shared attribute among humans. It's just not something we stretch out very often unless you're a gymnast. So you're going to want to start really engaging the hips. A lot of people throw mostly with their upper body. In order to really start unlocking more distance potential, you need to engage your lower body as well. So as you come through, whenever you plant, you're actually going to want to turn your hips to be able to really push forward and lead through with the legs and with the hips and generate the power from the ground up. Now from here, you're going to want to start working on the pull through. It's a good way to segue from throwing with your legs now to start getting the upper body involved. After you've snapped through with your lower body and really started to lead into the throwing motion, now is where you start considering what happens on the pull through. There are a lot of different ways to do this, and a lot of different people do a lot of different styles. Eric Oakley has his big hop with his hand, up and a pendulum through. It works for him. Garrett Gurthey keeps his offhand way in the air until he throws it in his follow through. That works for him. Now, everyone's going to have something a little different. The main thing is to keep your offhand out of the way. Some people trail it behind them and come through and then follow through. As long as your timing is good, you can do that. One big person that does that is Jennifer Allen, and that woman crushes. So she is obviously doing something right, but she's perfected her form in order to do so. The big thing, like I said, is keeping your trail arm kind of out of the way. You don't want it in the way or moving in opposite directions or opposite tempos than your throw arm. So figure out a way to get it kind of out of the way until you're ready to follow through. I keep mine kind of pinned down to my body. That way it's out of the way, and then it comes up with the pull through. But everyone is a little different. Find what works for you and practice it and make it second nature. Now, with the actual pull through itself, you're going to want to get your body out of the way. This is where rounding comes in. Let me pick up a disc here and show you what rounding is. Rounding is whenever you stand tall with your body, don't move it out of the way, and your disc starts back here with a good reach back, and on the pull through, your body's in the way of where you want to go. So naturally, you have to bring the disc around your body. That's going to cause you to grip lock a lot and come out with a lot of anhyzer. There are certain times where a certain very specific shot requires that type of form, but as far as just day-to-day throwing, especially trying to add distance, you're going to need to get your body out of the way. Bring the disc along one plane about chest high. That way you're not coming up and then popping down and using an air bounce. That takes a lot of momentum out of a disc, or you're not throwing straight down into the ground. You're also not coming from low and really coming up high. That way you're releasing with a lot of nose up and stalling everything and losing distance that way. Come through on one straight plane, but get your body out of the way, stick your rump out and back, and get kind of over the disc. Come straight through on one plane without having to move the disc around your body. Get your body out of the way. Now, on the pull through is whenever you're going to want to get compact. Think of figure skaters. Figure skaters, whenever they're doing their twirl, everything is wide, they're slow. The moment they pull everything in, they're going super fast. That's where they generate the speed. And then when everything extends again, that's whenever everything slows back down. So you can generate speed just by getting compact during the rotation, and then after the disc is out and released is whenever everything kind of comes back away from the core and slows down. That way you don't go hurtling and spinning like a top off of the end of the tee. Now, as far as the actual pull through itself, you're going to want to lead with the elbow. Think of it kind of like elbowing a door in. Don't actually do that, it really hurts and wouldn't be good for your disc golf game to have a broken arm. But think of it as though you're just going to elbow a door in to knock a door down. That's what you're leading with, is that elbow. You're going to pull through and then snap as your whole body rotates, and then let your follow through come around, especially with that trail arm and back leg, to come back around, sit square, and stop you. Don't abbreviate your follow through, but don't over exaggerate it. Let it happen naturally. That way you can get the full extension in the full rotation of your body. That's gonna help get you in timing better and let you release a lot better. Now, the second big thing is disc selection. If you've seen any of my tutorial videos, you'll know that I am very big on picking the right tool for the job. That is one of the biggest tips I tell beginners and people who are trying to really hit that breakthrough spot. Use the right tool. You know, you can't really take a bolt off with a hammer. I mean, you could probably find a way, but it's not the right tool for the job. Same thing goes here. There are distance drivers of all different kinds. But true distance drivers is going to help you actually get further, aren't going to be the most overstable thing. And here's where you may have to kind of swallow your ego down a little bit. You're not Eagle McMahon. You can't bomb a PD2 600 feet. You just can't do that. The rest of us mortals have to actually swallow our pride a little and tone back our expectations in order to throw what we know can get distance. Even if that means picking up something like a road runner, if you don't have the arm speed for anything else to get you further down the fairway, then that's what you need to do. Speaking of which, let's start with the Roadrunner and the Hawkeye. Roadrunner is an understable control driver. The Hawkeye is a very neutral fairway driver. A lot of players truly don't have the arm speed to be throwing 12, 13 speed drivers. You know, the name and the brand sells you on that, and you just alter your game to be able to make up for it. If you don't have the arm speed for that destroyer, it's not going to go very far, and you would be surprised what picking up something like a Hawkeye or a Roadrunner can do. If you don't have the arm speed for a Hawkeye, the Roadrunner is definitely up your alley. You'll be able to throw it with a little hyzer, and even on low speeds, you're going to get the flip up and full flight. Now, carrying from left to right, if you're righty backhand, is where you get your distance. As long as it's holding a turnover and not turning and burning into the ground like a roller, as long as it's holding some sort of turnover, it's pushing down the fairway. You lose forward momentum whenever you get flat and back to a hyzer. So getting those neutral to slightly understable discs, those are going to be the key to big distance. So, and I'll show you right here with the Roadrunner that you don't have to throw hard to get it to go far. So my release point was a little bit off, but it still flipped up to flat and rode forever. I threw that very soft, but I counted on the disc to want to flip up and continue carrying forward. Now, if you've got a little more arm speed, picking up something even a little slower like a Hawkeye, something that's neutral that you can shape and get to fly further than something faster that you don't have the arm for, it's still going to really surprise you with how far it can go. And again, you seen that got the full flight out of that disc. That's what's going to get you more distance, is getting that full flight. Now, something else with disc selection, getting something that has high glide and a little less weight is going to really benefit keeping in the air longer. Something like, you know, a Shrike if you have the arm for it, or a Turn, you know, a Hawkeye, a Wraith that's in the right weight, you know, things like that, a Valkyrie, are all really, really good examples of this. But don't get me wrong, one of my furthest flying shots I've ever thrown was actually with a 150 gram Blizzard Katana. Lightweight discs typically go further. So if you're not having to deal with being extremely accurate and just want to add a little distance, then definitely pick up something like that. Now, if you do have the arm and you know you're really starting to want to reach those par fours in one to get eagle looks, and this is what I was struggling with for the longest time. I really wanted that breakthrough distance. This is where really fine-tuning the type of disc you're throwing goes a long way. I throw destroyers as my go-to driver, but they weren't going the absolute furthest, so I had to pick down and get some really far-flying ones. This older run destroyer and this newer run destroyer still fly very similarly. Now, I did get them both at, this one is at lighter weights. This one's 167, this one's 171. And you'll note they're not max weight. When I'm going for distance, I don't want max weight, I want a little lighter. So focusing on good form and good disc selection is whenever I can start really focusing in on hitting things like this par 4 in one shot to give me that good eagle look. Now see, that got up and over the crest of the hill, but it was a little too low, so I'm going to give it another shot with this destroyer. And that should be well down past the little walking path that really separates good drives from great drives. And we'll take you up and let you check out exactly where that landed in relation to this near 600 foot hole. All right, so you can see there's my drive. And bear in mind, this is a near 600 foot hole and I'm sitting at maybe about 100 feet. This is about all I can ask for a controlled distance shot, especially being able to give myself a good putt and look at that basket. So let's see if I can actually knock down the elusive eagle, or at the very least, have a drop-in birdie. All right, so I gave it the bid. It's sitting at the base. I have a drop-in birdie and really no danger about it. If I only wanted the birdie, I could have very easily just laid that up and not given it a bid at all. But that's the whole point of this, was I wanted to get just a little closer. That way I could actually give a run for that eagle. So, did you guys like these tips? Do you think that they're useful and going to help? If so, leave me a comment and let me know what your max distance is and what your distance goal is. If you want to get this awesome shirt or find any other far-flying disc, follow the link in the description to head over to reaperdisc.com and check them out there. Follow @ReaperDisc on social media. That way you can keep up to date with all of our inventory restocks as well as new releases. Click the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel. That way you're first to see all of the brand new content we're putting out. We're putting out more and more every single day. Stay in the loop, hit the subscribe button. Again, I'm Christian with Reaper Discs, and go throw further. And I'll see you on the next video.